Hey, what's up, peoples? Welcome to another edition of the Morning Power Talks. This morning Power Talk is going to be very quick because I'm out of town and I gotta go. So anyway, there's a story where back in the '90s, one of my friends came to school with this weird whistle. It was a special whistle he had, and he called it the doggy whistle. Now the funny thing about the doggy whistle is that when he would blow the whistle, I wouldn't hear anything. Like no matter how loud he blew and how hard he blew this whistle, I never heard anything. And I'll be like, yo, what's the point of having this whistle if you can't hear anything? And he said, when it comes to the doggy whistle, the dogs, I believe he was saying, they have a special tune or a special sound in their ears where they can only hear a certain frequency. So when you blew this whistle to the common human ear, we wouldn't pick it up, right? Because based on the frequency of what our ears can pick up, it's different from the dog. So when he blew this, the dog's sensitivity to that certain sound wave or that certain frequency was more sensitive to it. So every time he blew that whistle, a dog would come. So I remember he tried this out, right? So we went to his house and he had this whistle. He blew it for his dog and the dog literally responded to it. The dog didn't come, but you can tell the dog responded to the whistle. So that theory of the the doggy whistle being at a certain frequency which would captivate or capture dog's attention was true. And I say this because it's really interesting for something that happened to me. So somebody told me recently, D, you got to dumb it down for these people. Today's world, you have to dumb it down. The messaging, whatever you're doing, you have to dumb it down because people don't really understand high elevated concepts anymore, right? Although to a certain degree, I kind of agree with that, but I disagree. Because of the doggy whistle theory, the doggy whistle thing that happens, I firmly believe that everybody has a certain audience that is for them. So in other words, there's a certain way. Listen, I can say something, I can come out with a message and tell people this message. I can tell 5 people this message, right? And none of them get it. And you walk into a room and you say the same thing I just said, the same way I just said it, with the same tone, and they listen. We all have our own specific audiences. We all have our own specific people groups that we were called to, that we really like. Every time we say something, they can understand it. And I've seen this happen many times in the past. I've seen this happen with many industries and many different people. There are certain people that, listen, no matter what you say to them, they won't listen to you. No matter how you put it, they'll never understand it. But let the other man or the other girl or someone else come into a room and put it exactly how you put it, and they'll understand them. We all have our own specific people that we are called to with a specific message. I don't fully agree with that. I don't fully agree with the whole dumb it down thing. Because I know this is a message that everybody's being told. Everybody is being told to dumb down their message. Everybody's being told to dumb down what they believe in, dumb down their ideas, dumb down their plans. And I don't believe in dumbing down anything. For those who do not understand, that's their business. If you're creating something, you're doing something amazing right now that you feel in your heart of hearts needs to be done, and you feel as if there are a certain group of people that's not understanding it, it is not your job to change your message. It is not your job to change what you're doing in order to appease them. Now, I will say this. This is a disclaimer. I always have a disclaimer. This is a disclaimer. If your messaging is not clear, if what you're doing is not clear and people are just not understanding it, that's a different ballgame. That's a whole different ballgame right there. But if you're properly putting your message in a certain way where people can understand, where the human mind can understand and process, and you feel as if some people are not getting it, they're not for you. So don't dumb it down. Don't dumb it down. Stick with it. Stick with what you believe. Stick with where you're at. And trust me, everything that you're working on right now, it's going to bear fruit. It's going to show the results and the solutions. Don't dumb it down for anybody. Stick with it. Those who you are supposed, your niche crowd, this is a key word, like in really niching down, finding a niche, some people say, right? Finding a group of people, a specific people group or culture that is going to respond to what you are putting out there for the world. Listen, what you have is not for everybody. What I have is not for everybody. We are all called to a certain domain. We are all called to meet a certain need to a certain people group. So make sure you stick with what you have. Make it clear though. Make it very plain. Make it very clear. Make sure the message you are relaying to the people is pretty much clear. It's understandable. But if people don't understand it, there is a group of people that's going to walk into it and it's going to be for them. But once again, Stand clear, stand firm on what you believe, stand firm on what you've been called to. It's going to make sense. Make sure it's clear. Make sure it's clear. Make sure it makes sense. Make sure it appeals to the basic needs of human emotion and human understanding, but at the same time, don't change it. Don't dumb it down for nobody. Don't dumb it down. Either they get it or they're not, but there is going to be a group that get it. That's all I got.